How do I raise funding when I don't have any money? Imagine this. Your startup is out of money and you still haven't been able to raise your next round of funding. However, all hope is not lost. I've been there. My startup was literally out of money. We had employees to pay, bills piling up, and no clear path forward. Yet, we found a way to extend our runway and secure the funding we needed. It wasn't easy, but it was possible. That's exactly what I want to share with you today. In today's video, I'll share my 10 tips to help you extend your runway and raise funding. I hope you like it. Hi, I'm Brett. On my channel, I help early stage startup CEOs like you raise money and grow your startup. So if this sounds like you, then hit the subscribe button and the bell so you get notified every time I release a new video. Let's get started. Why does extending your runway matter? Your runway is the lifeline of your startup. It's how long your company can survive with the cash you have on hand. The equation is simple. Your runway equals cash on hand divided by your monthly burn rate. For example, if you have $1 million in cash and are spending $200,000 a month with no revenue, you have 5 months of runway. But if you generate $100,000 in sales over those 5 months, you extend your runway to 6 months. That extra runway is critical because it gives you more time to secure funding, generate revenue, and make necessary adjustments. And you don't know when you're going to need that extra dollar of runway. Trust me on that one. In my company's case, we literally needed every dollar to survive. That's why extending your runway is so important. Now, let's dive into those 10 tips, starting with tip number 1. Tip number 1, plan way ahead for disaster. The first step to extending your runway is preparing for the worst before it happens. One of the smartest decisions we made at my company was creating 3 financial plans: a best case plan, a medium case plan, and a worst case plan. The worst case plan assumes revenue falls short of projections. In this scenario, you freeze hiring, reduce spending, and make adjustments to stretch your runway. My controller, Tina, and I reviewed these plans every week to ensure we stayed ahead of any potential issues. It became our early warning system. The earlier you spot trouble, the more options you have. And let's move on now to tip number 2 on our list. Tip number 2, talk to your team early and often. Your team is your most valuable resource during a financial crisis, and their support is essential. The best way to keep your team on board is to be transparent from day 1. At my company, we held board meetings every 6 weeks and shared the exact same information we shared with our board with our team, including financial updates. This level of openness built trust and kept everybody aligned. Don't worry about scaring your team by sharing bad news. If you're honest and upfront, your team will appreciate your transparency and rally behind you. I'll get back to this later in the video. For now, let's move on to tip number 3 on our list. Tip 3, get a loan. Loans can be a lifesaver, but timing is everything. The best time to secure a loan is before you need one. When Tina suggested we get a loan, we still had 14 months of runway left. The thing about loans is the best time to get a loan is when you don't need the loan. At that moment, we didn't need a loan. This made it relatively easy for us to get 2 banks to give us loan proposals. If you wait until you're desperate, lenders may view you as too risky and you're left with nothing. Acting early gives you leverage and better options. Now, let's talk about tip number 4 on our list. Tip 4, be prepared to perform layoffs. Layoffs are one of the toughest decisions you'll face as a CEO, but sometimes they're necessary to save your company. Salaries are likely your biggest expense, so reducing headcount can significantly extend your runway. First, you need to personally handle each of the layoffs if possible. Second, this is the worst day of the person you are laying off's life, so handle yourself with class, grace, and a huge amount of empathy. Third, make sure you have their final paycheck ready. How you handle layoffs will define your leadership in the eyes of your remaining team. Now on to tip number 5. Tip number 5, reducing salaries to minimum wage. We ended up having the remaining employees go to minimum wage. This increased our runway by another 2 months. This is where the transparency you've been practicing through the life of your company really helps you. We had a company meeting to explain why we were taking these actions. I didn't mince words. I told the team going to minimum wage was necessary to save our company. Then I opened it up for questions. And for the next hour, the team asked me tough, thoughtful questions. I assumed we would lose about 30% of our team over the next 2 months. Instead, we didn't have anyone quit. That was the payoff of being transparent throughout the life of the company. Now let's move on to tip number 6. Tip 6, extend vendor payments. You have to do everything you can to extend your runway when you're in a crisis. Asking your suppliers and vendors to work with you is yet another way to extend your runway. You'll be surprised, just like we were, how many of your vendors will work with you and allow you to delay paying them entirely. In parallel, you pay the other vendors as late as you can. This will buy you some more time. Remember, every day counts when you're fighting for your life. Now let's move on to tip number 7 on our list. Tip 7, get customers to prepay. Asking your customers to prepay for your services is a great way to generate quick cash. Offer them incentives such as a 20 to 30% discount on additional services to encourage early payment. If you're a SaaS company, you could offer customers a discount for paying for a year up front instead of monthly. Or you can offer additional services for free to your customers as an incentive to pay early. Just be creative and do whatever it takes to get more cash. Now let's move on to tip 8 on our list. Tip number 8, bridge loans or adjust loan terms. Your existing investors and lenders may work with you to reduce your cash payments in the case of a loan or give you a small amount of cash in the case of a bridge loan. For example, our lender allowed us to delay our interest payments in return for warrants. It was a good deal because they were more likely to lose the principal if they didn't help. Now on to tip number 9 on our list. Tip 9, look for alternative investors. Not every investor has to be an angel investor or a venture capitalist. For example, the eventual syndicate that funded our company included a public company in our industry. This is called a strategic investor. And we were also in talks with one of our distributors to invest as well. My advice is be creative. Don't be afraid to ask for help. The worst somebody can say is no. Now let's move on to the final tip on our list. Number 10 on our list. Number 10, never give up. This is my favorite tip of all. All of the actions we took looked like they weren't going to help us. The story of our funding literally went down to the last second with more twists and turns than a good movie. In fact, I was in a board meeting to shut down our company when we got the news that our funding would happen. It was that close. Literally, every action we took was needed to save us. Now, if this content is resonating with you, then please hit the like button right now. One final thought. Stay cool and calm. The pressure on you when you're running out of money is enormous. Keeping yourself as cool and calm as possible will help your team keep calm. And keeping yourself Cool and calm will help you make better decisions. Finally, keeping yourself cool and calm will give your existing investors and your new investors the confidence to fund you. Now, if you have any questions for me, please put them in the comments column below today's video. Now, I have 2 more things for you today. First, my free startup pitch deck template. It has all the slides you need to develop an awesome pitch deck. Click the link below today's video and it's yours for free. And second, join my free group of startup CEOs Zero to Pitch. It's a community for startup CEOs focusing on growing their companies and raising funding. Click the link below today's video to join. Finally, click the subscribe button to get notified every time I release a new video. I'm Brett at brettjfox.com. Thanks for watching today. Take care. Bye.